Good morning, fellow physicians, and want to say this is again day, I don't know, about 14 or 15 of my semi-retirement. So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about burnout and the cure to burnout by having too much income. So yes, I'm kind of joking, but not really joking. By the way, how do you like the shirt and sunglasses as the retirement thing? Hope you're enjoying it. So in today's video, this will be the first of a series of many financial videos teaching you how to create financial prosperity in your life. Not only will I show you how you can do it, but I'll also show you step by step how I did this in my own life. By the end of this video, I'm hoping you'll have enough information to start to open your eyes about how you're approaching things and how medicine, if just done in and of itself, could be a trap for you in terms of burnout and also limiting your income. And I understand how being a doctor, when you devote all your energy there and resources to doing the best you can for your patients, how this can really lead you to limiting the scope of your life and creating stress in your life. I'm Ron Wiest. For those of you that are new to this channel, I'm a retiring psychiatrist. I'm dedicating the second part of my career to helping early and mid-career physicians live their best lives, because medical school never taught us how to care for ourselves or never educated us about business and financial matters. So let's jump into it now. First of all, there is I'm retiring from actually a great organization. This organization is very different than most, where the doctors actually could be owners in the organization. And but there is inherent in healthcare, there's a tension between doctors and the healthcare organizations. Both have the clinical goal of helping patients, but the financial goal of the doctor is to try to maximize his income, and the business objective is to try to drive shareholder value. When those things are aligned, there's really no problem. But when the physicians can't be shareholders in the practice, this creates an inherent tension. And now we'll kind of move on. But I just wanted you to understand that I also owned a medical practice and tried very hard to please the clinicians in my practice and try to be very generous with them. But I just want to make you aware that this tension exists everywhere in healthcare, unless you own your own practice at this point. So the first principle I'll be talking about is that we have to take, and you'll hear this over and over again, whether I'm talking to you on the wellness side or the financial side, we have to take personal responsibility for our lives. It is not your employer's job to create financial prosperity in your life. That's your job. Your employer's job is to pay you a fair wage. And if that's occurring, then fantastic. But it is really your job to create financial abundance in your life and create balance in your life. And that's what this channel, by the way, is all about. So taking personal responsibility, this will be the first um, uh, video again on the financial side. If you're mad at your employer, if you're blaming your employer, the only thing this is going to do is create uh, anger and resentment in your life. It is not going to be useful for you. And so I want you to abandon that uh, narrative because it's going to use up your emotional resources. Again, I think I first told you that when I started, I really had a psychological barrier to making money that I wasn't aware of. I felt ashamed about making money. Um, I felt like that meant I was greedy, or my goal was to make money over doing the right thing for patients. And so that isn't true. Um, and one of the main things that I've talked about is, I think I heard Tony Robbins again say this, the quality of your life comes down to the questions that you ask. And if you're asking the wrong questions, you'll frequently get the wrong answers. So the question I had to ask was, how can I do the best thing for my patients and build a successful business around creating excellent clinical models? That was the question that I had to answer as a business owner, and that I had to do as every physician has to do really for themselves. So medical school really never taught us, to take care of ourselves. Those of us who wanted to become doctors, we did it because we wanted to help others. We knew that if we became physicians, we'd probably do well financially. So we never really thought a lot about money. Um, but this is far from the truth. I know one of my physician friends said to me, I used to think of physicians as being wealthy. And he said, no, the difference between a wealthy person and a physician is probably greater than the wealth of a street person versus a physician. So wealthy people, the dollars that we're talking about, make so much more money than physicians. It's it really opened my eyes when I saw what kind of incomes a wealthy person could really have. Excuse me. So many physicians really live paycheck to paycheck. Most of us have been taught little financial education, and our retirement plan is investing in a 401k. Once we became doctors, there's so much money, so much amount of learning that we have to do. There's very little free time to educate ourselves about other matters. The half-life of medical education is probably 5 to 10 years. And so that means we have to constantly really update ourselves and relearn, or not relearn, but learn the latest and greatest of advances in medical education. So just a disclaimer, I'm obviously not a financial planner. Will tell you the strengths that I have is condensing, 25 years of studying uh, financial education and behavioral health. I'll condense this material and simplify it for you so that you don't have to spend 25 years, 30 years educating yourself about these topics. Think of me as a coach, both personally and financially. And I'm going to encourage everyone not to act rashly. If you're early, mid-career physician, you have time to act on information. The key thing is being thoughtful, learning, doing some reading on your own of other people, so that you can make wise, educated decisions. Knowledge is potential energy. knowledge plus action is power. And so I want you first to learn before you make all the stupid mistakes that I made in my life, and hopefully you can avert them. So, as I said, I've been studying Robert Kiyosaki and other financial gurus for the last, 25 to 30 years. And I'm going to teach you what I learned from him, what I did that worked, what I did that didn't work. And this is the first tape on this financial segment. So the narrative about going to school, getting a job, supporting yourself, investing in a 401k, or turning your money over to a financial planner really isn't, in my opinion, the best way to approach your finances. Furthermore, physicians and other professionals frequently fall prey to lifestyle creep, where the more you make, the more you spend, and you're never really in a position then where you're keeping your expenses low. We're accustomed to spending more as we make more, thinking that this is what the wealthy do, and this isn't what the wealthy do. And we'll talk more about that. So let's talk about vocabulary first of all, because vocabulary is everything. The stories we tell ourselves, about money, about our mental health. These are narratives, and the more vocabulary we learn and distinctions we make, the more knowledge we actually have. And so, starting off with the definition of asset, in conventional financial terms, an asset is something of value that can be converted into money, and a liability is debt owed to another party. Robert Kiyosaki actually came up with a brilliant definition, even though it's not conventional, of an asset and liability that simplify things a lot for people. So he defined asset as something that puts money in your pocket every month, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket every month. So that's, I think, an interesting way to think of asset and liability. What he calls an asset, I would call a cash flowing asset. And what he calls a liability, I would agree, it's something that we're paying on, a loan or student debt. These are liabilities. But when it comes to things like having a car and you're making payments on your car, even the car is conventionally considered an asset since it's taking money out of your pocket. He calls that a liability. The other two vocabulary issues or definitions I'd like you to think about is we can invest for two principal reasons. One is we invest in something that brings money back to us, and that's cash flow. The second is for appreciation or capital appreciation. That means something goes up in value because we've created more value within that particular investment. Well, this would be a business or whatever it might be. So now I want to go to our board here, and this is the first time I'm doing this. Sorry if visibility is bad, or I'll try to get close enough where you can all see this, but we're going to talk about the typical pattern of a physician and what they do. So let's see if I can bring in the board. We'll get better technologically as we go on. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. I'll illustrate if you can't. This is you. You are a doctor and you work for a great company. If you worked for a company like I did previously, sorry about the lighting here, bear with us. And that salary supports a lifestyle. Then what happens is lifestyle creep sets in, and then the only way we can make more is really expecting more money from our employer, because that's the only source of income we have, and this can lead to burnout if we're working harder. And so remember, I told you it's not your employer's job to make you financially prosperous. That's your job. And so what Robert Kiyosaki teaches is essentially, so this is possible future for you, money from job. And then with that money from the job, you buy a printing press. We'll talk about this more. You could buy a printing press, or you could buy a goose that lays a golden egg. So this is my illustration of a printing press here. That is money coming out of it. And you never have to worry about money or burnout again, because I know I can solve the problem of burnout for you. If I gave every doctor $10 million, the most physicians would be much less burnt out because they could manage their schedule, their time more, and money is a component of physician burnout. Time is also a component of physician burnout. So how do we buy a printing press? We buy a printing press. This is the goose that lays the golden egg. And I'll convert this for you to something that's more tangible. I don't know if they still have gumball machines, but in my day, there were these things called gumball machines. I'm assuming they still have them. You put in a quarter, you get a gumball, and you take the money from, all you have to do is buy more gumballs, and then people keep putting in their money, and every month, as long as you're charging more for the gumballs than they cost, you're making money. You have a goose or printing machine here that lays a golden egg. It could also be a vending machine. So again, going back to his definition, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket every month. Vending machine, or you could buy rental property like a house. And every month, as long as the renters are paying you more than the cost of the house and the mortgage, you have a printing machine or a goose that's laying a golden egg. So there are many, many examples of assets that we'll talk about. Let me get back to our lecture. And that's what I want you to start to think about. So since we're talking early mid-career physicians, one of the keys is keeping your expenses low. So if you keep your expenses low, then you can take money every month and put it in an investment account to buy an asset that puts money back in your pocket every month. And so what Robert Kiyosaki says in Rich Dad Poor Dad, and many of his other books, is you start with earned income and you buy assets that create passive income for you on a regular basis that throw cash off to you and that will then allow you to generate passive income that allows you to buy more assets that generate further passive income. And this is the way you create a second source of income in your life. So you're buying assets that are like printing machines, call it rental real estate, call it a gumball machine, whatever you might want to. And that's how you're going to start to slowly generate wealth over time. So, what could a printing press look like? Obviously, printing presses are not legal. So, we talked about gumball machine, which I'm not suggesting you do. Vending machine, I tried that and didn't do a very good job because I didn't want to keep filling it. Starting a business is a way to essentially create a constant flow of passive income. Buying a business, buying rental real estate, developing a book, franchising, buying a franchise like so many people do, McDonald's, or obviously that takes a lot of upfront capital, but there are inexpensive franchises that potentially could you could develop into a printing press, loans to other responsible individuals. So again, the key is convert earned income into passive income by buying assets. Now you have a secondary source of uh, revenue coming in, and you don't have to rely on your employer to give you a raise every time that you feel like you're needing more money. So again, this is a very quick and simple way to generate higher income. We'll talk further about many different aspects of finance. If you could please click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you could share this video with 5 friends, 5 colleagues, this will allow me to continue to do free content for you. With that, that's all I've got for today, and we will see you soon.